Orc, the bardic paladin, who sings and plays again. He tells the tales of glory and weaves a magic story. He'll join you at your table and ask you to share a fable. Heroes of humble origin, villains who must be fought again. No matter their skill or prowess, the people in life are countless. So we pray you heed our request. Enjoy this tale of sidekicks and side quests.
Episode 68, Ahta and the Dovecote Cafe.
Welcome to Sidekicks and Side Quests, the Dungeons & Dragons podcast that helps to put humans back into humanity and breathe life into your campaign NPCs with backstory and bravado. That's right, we're building a world, one character at a time. I am your host, Kurt Krenwelge, the Bardic Paladin, and I'll be joining
Joseph Anthony's table in the levitating platter. Howdy y'all, welcome to another exciting episode of Sidekicks and Side Quests, the best unofficial Dungeons & Dragons podcast, in my humbly biased opinion. We've got a wonderful returning guest to the show. It's been a long time since we've spoken, but before we get to our mystery guest, I gotta give a shout out to our first sponsor, Plus One EXP. Tony Vicenda is the mastermind behind his mastercraft of beard balms, game design, and community building. He has beard balms named after all the basic stats from D&D, so get a little canister, apply it to your face, and smell the sweet aroma and the sweet victory that comes along with increased strength, dexterity, charisma, and more. Beards and Beyond is the indie RPG that helped to launch his brand, but Tony's collaborated on several other projects, including Repugnant with Terrible Games, iToaster, a brave little toaster-inspired game, and Down We Go, a game which seeks to capture the heart of old-school tabletop gaming. If you support Plus One EXP, either by buying something from their store or supporting them on Patreon and the like, it all helps funnel into the Plus One Forward program, which seeks to support additional independent tabletop content creators to continue making awesome stuff. So I'd highly encourage you to follow Tony and Plus One EXP on all the socials, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, in order to keep up with all the various projects that are being worked on, as well as upcoming interviews, one-shots, and actual plays of some of these amazing games. And if you don't mind, head on over to plus1exp.com, use the affiliate code Randolph when you're buying a beard balm or a beard RPG in order to get some savings on your purchase at no extra cost to you. Again, that code is Randolph at checkout on the website plus1exp.com. With that out of the way, hello, returning guest. It has been a while since we last spoke.
It has been quite a while. Thank you for having me back.
Of course. For those of us not in the know, would you like to just give us a brief recap of who you are and what is it that you do? How has life been since the last time we spoke?
Sure. Well, I'm Joseph. I am a game writer and game designer working at a studio here in Dallas.
Awesome.
I'm working for their QA team on some exciting, fun projects.
Yeah. Since the last time we spoke, have any of those projects come to light and been wildly popular?
Not widely popular, but I can't say that. It's been good. One of them has been a Shark Tank Tycoon. Just come out on the Apple Store and Google Play. Based on the show.
Cool. So you got a licensed mobile app game of it.
Yeah. We were working with Sony, who I believe owns the rights to it, to produce it, and it's out now. And fun thing, I got to do more writing in it in that particular title. So a lot of the character dialogue and pitches, whenever you're looking at businesses, I wrote those. And there's this whole new cool section of mini game, kind of like a mini game where you're in the Shark Tank listening to a banter pitch thing. I wrote almost all of those.
Wow, that's awesome, dude.
That's a great update since the last time we spoke. In the pandemic and everything otherwise has been treating you well?
So far, I've thankfully been able to avoid getting sick or anything,
Good.
which has been super great. and I have a job, which I'm very blessed to be able to say.
Yeah, so have you been able to play any D&D or any other cool role-playing games since the last time we spoke?
Since last we spoke, I haven't sat down and done any tabletop stuff. I've done stuff over Discord and virtually.
Mhm.
So I got invited to a house game that it's like a based off the World of Darkness.
Like Vampire the Masquerade or the werewolf stuff?
Yeah, that one. It's based off that system, but they were
Okay.
running their own like homebrew type of deal, and that was cool because I got to experience and see kind of how that system worked.
Mhm.
Outside that one, not particularly. I did get to run some of my own for that that RPG I was making, which I did finish,
Oh,
which is
good.
also something that happened this year. Yeah, I finished that. Got to a stopping point, and I ran, I think, 2 different sessions
Mhm.
for some coworkers and then some other friends in like a Discord channel.
Cool, so you're going to do some more testing before you put it out there?
For the world.
Oh no, it's all good. I've done it. I did plenty of testing before.
Oh, of
Like on
course,
it.
you're a professional QA tester, so you know all the stuff.
Exactly.
Cool.
But no, but I ran just a lot of user testing when I was doing it before. So these ones were just for fun.
Mhm.
Now that I got it finished up, I'm just like I guess refining it, doing it for fun and updating it on my website. So whenever I start to apply to places, I have like a more standardized portfolio to demonstrate all the stuff.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Well, this show is called Sidekicks and Side Quests. So, have you run into any new interesting NPCs or sidekick characters since last we spoke?
Oh gosh.
I remember your answer last time was Pagan Min, and a couple of times he's come up on the show as being a favorite of other people as well. So, I know you started the trend. So,
Snap.
Has anyone else topped Pagan Min in your mind since
The
then?
flattery. Let's see. I'm trying to think of any like characters that like really stand out as being interesting.
Mhm.
2 come to mind. One more wholesome than the other. So the game Biomutant, crazy character action game. Have you heard of it?
I haven't. Please tell me more.
Cool. So it's a wild character action game where he plays like this weird little furry mutant creature on some kind of like pollution-ridden planet, and some giant predator like destroys your town, and then you come back years later after having abandoned it. It's real cool. There's a lot of like you can build your own gun and your own weapon and sword, and you can like base your style around it. It has this sort of like cartoony kung fu style. So you have like jutting pig or something where you're like stabbing your swords or whatever. It's really cool. I love the weapon creation mechanic of it, but also there's just a bunch of weird characters. So because they all use weird broken English, like all trains are just called choo-choos because they're just choo-choos. No one knows it's called a train anymore. And some of these NPCs, they're all just, I don't know, they have been delightful. I had to go get a giant toothbrush weapon to clean someone off because they were covered in goo. I enjoyed that. But of the characters, the one that I immediately remember the most, well, there's 2. One was a barber. He was just, there's no roof over his barber shop. It's just literally like, a checkered floor with a little barber pole and a chair. And he's just like, hey, don't look like garbage. Come sit in my chair. And it's just like random barber out in the middle of nowhere. And the second character is a witch I found out in the woods who makes poppets. And she had them go on a quest. I was like, all right. And she, here, have this poppet to attach to your weapon to make it stronger. I was like, all right, this is cool. And it's fun. A lot of those characters are just like kind of like goofy and weird, but also sincere. I don't know. I love it.
Awesome. And then along with that, have you come across an interesting side quest in a game or a project, a film, etc.? And why has it been one of your favorite side quests since the last we spoke?
Interesting side quest. Trying to think of the games I've played. I feel like I haven't played as many, at least as many new ones. Replaying old games is something I do a lot. It would probably, honestly, it would have to be Biomutant again. It's a big open world, so you can like open world explore and collect mounts and stuff. I got a giant mechanical hand I ride around on, and it does like a finger gun and then fires an actual projectile at enemies.
Oh, that's cool.
But probably my favorite one is one I did recently where I got oh gosh, I forget what it was called. It was like an omnossum or something. It was like a possum mixed with a bat. It was terrible but also amazing. And I had to do a quest where I like climbed a bunch of mountains, and then someone gave me a map, and I went and found like a nest, and this thing was just sort of sitting there staring at me, and I was like, hey, we're friends now. And so now I can like glide it off of little mountains.
Oh, that's cool. That's sweet, man. And then final catch-up question here in the personal interview section. Have you found any new passions since a year ago?
Or more than a year ago, based on when we actually recorded.
You know what? I'd probably have to say I got back into my woodworking over this again.
Oh, cool.
It's hard to do it during the summer just because of the heat. The cold makes it a bit more tolerable, but it's a bit, well, I'm going to try and do woodworking tomorrow, so I say that. But yeah, I did a lot more, and I moved away from my more traditional, because I usually made like prop weapons and goofy stuff like that. And I moved away from my typical, more traditional, like carving of them into more like bombastic and interesting style. So I have one that's shaped like a giant bird wing and painted like a rainbow of colors, kind of like inspired by Festival, and ironically a character from the new Animal Crossing game. I loved his little Festival event, and I was like, what if I made a sword based off his color scheme? And so it's like this big curving sword, this little bird head at the bottom. It's great. I made a big claymore, and I carved in little runes to it. I made a series of like little just thematic knives, which is really neat. But yeah, that's been really fun because I'm like painting them and getting a lot more creative with the shapes, and I'm really in love with that. I have some right here that I still need to cut up and edit before I get into the painting of them, but I'm excited.
Well, this was a good catch up, and now I think it's time we head into some NPC creation.
Oh, exciting.
So, you were the first of our guests to use an art prompt generator, and I don't think anyone else has done that since. But I think in discussing and leading up to this returning interview, I think you're going to go 2 for 2, and you're going to use another art prompt generator in order to help us develop a character today. Is that right?
Yes, definitely am. I think this is a very fun way, I feel, to like build up an NPC character you have to interact with. Who knows what we'll have at the end?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think you have it already pulled up on your computer, so I guess you just let me know whenever you've got it all randomly generated.
All right. Let's see. Because I pulled up a couple of generators just as like it's very well rounded.
Okay.
Okay, I saw some simple. Oh, you know what? I like these. All right. So this first prompt I have is a girl with dreads in a field of beautiful flowers.
Okay.
Which I really like.
Okay.
And then I produced just 5 words, which are brewery, cafe, Dovecote, a shelter with nest holes for domesticated pigeons. Okay.
Okay, so this person keeps pigeons then, it sounds like.
Apparently, a girl with dreads, beautiful field of flowers, a brewery, a cafe, apparently like a pigeon house, ruins, and wild beasts.
Wild beasts. Okay, so is this what you want to go with?
Yeah. I really like that. That's a fun prompt.
Okay, all right. Well, as we weave our way through the questions, what is going to be this character's name?
I think I have a lot of generators here. But I'm thinking something like naturey.
Okay.
Band. All of these are unpronounceable.
Oh.
You know what? I like Ahta. So AHTA.
AHTA. Ahta. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, when you said you had the image of the girl with the dreadlocks in the field of flowers, is it already giving you a picture of who it is, or was it just like a sentence that said like a girl with dreadlocks in a field?
It's literally a sentence. A girl with dreads in a field of beautiful flowers.
What is the ancestry of this character? We have a pretty big clue, I suppose, but, I guess anyone could have dreadlocks, probably.
Yeah. I mean, you grow your hair out enough, everyone gets dreads. It's just a convenient way to carry around like a huge mop of hair. I was thinking like I might be getting ahead of myself here.
Okay.
But I was imagining this woman, dreads, lots of flowers, and just like moss growing on the ends of the hair.
Okay.
Maybe like half some kind of druid or like a dryad.
Okay.
Like half person, half dryad.
Okay, so you think this character is like a half dryad?
Yeah, like some literal connection to nature and plants.
Okay. All right, well, we'll go with this. We'll try and figure out how it works, I suppose, but a half dryad. So they're like, what is their other half? If they're a dryad, then are they like half elf? Are they half human? Or half something else? Half orc?
Half orc. That would be interesting.
Joseph was one of my consultants on the Orc Pantheon in between week episode I did. So, but yeah, Joseph, he helped me make sure that my Orc Pantheon was cool. And is that what you're thinking, maybe?
You know what? I pulled up a D&D character generator because I'm not familiar with all the races that go on there, and it did just pull up an orc.
We have the entire player's handbook. We have the entire monster manual at our disposal. It's whatever character you want.
Well, you know what? Let's do an orc. That seems like it'd be fun.
So are we still going on with this idea of like half orc, half dryad? Or are you just thinking like pure orc, or what are you thinking?
I'm still thinking half orc, half dryad.
Okay.
Maybe some kind of like crazy ancestral thing.
Like an orc that maybe lives in the Feywild or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Because I was trying to I want to tie in that ruins. I imagine this like just area where like a kingdom was and then is in absolute collapse. Like it's been overtaken by
nature.
By nature. And you're just like wandering through these ruins and you just stop and you see essentially a cafe with no walls. Just out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of these ruins.
It sounds like somewhere you'd find in the Feywild. Like, oh, there was a ruined thing from the mortal world that got transported to the Feywild, and then this half orc, half dryad was like, oh yes, this will be perfect for my cafe.
Yeah, just this bizarre thing to come across, almost like the tea party in Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah,
you're just wandering through the woods and you stumble on it.
Okay, all right. So then it sounds like the job of Ahta. So she runs this cafe in this ruin. Then that's what her job is.
Okay, so I wanted I was thinking it would be twofold. One is the cafe kind of brewer thing, just because she has an interest in like cooking and like, or at least drink making, like brewery making.
Could be.
And the other is like
maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, just like this weird coffee bar in the middle of the woods. And then her second job, or her primary like duty, is like protecting the area. Because thinking of like the how do you pronounce this again? Dovecote.
Okay, like the thing where she keeps the doves in?
Yes, Dovecote. All right, it is Dovecote.
Okay.
So just making these little like animal houses, and there's like just this sanctuary for like animals to come in.
Okay.
And in the middle of it is this little brewery cafe. They're brewing coffee and other weird drinks.
So so now you're explaining it better, and so it could very well be the Feywild, but I also think like it could be the mortal world and just like these old ruins, and she's like, well, no, this area needs to be protected, these animals need to be protected. I have a dovecote up on the roof of this old tower or whatever, and how am I going to get income to make sure that I can protect this area sufficiently? Oh, I know, the logical answer is I'll open up a cafe and I'll brew coffee, and adventurers will come by and they'll be impressed, and then they'll be like, oh, we don't need to
pillage this tower or whatever. Yeah, we'll just it's cool.
What I was thinking with it was kind of, I guess, kind of like coming across like a witch in the woods, where she's mostly self-sufficient because of the whole like dryad. Just there's a bunch of like fruiting trees. It's like a lush area full of like animals, and that's all because of her. But this is just like a pastime. So if adventurers did wander through, maybe the trees move in a way that leads them there, and it's like, hello. Random travelers, are you thirsty? Sit down. I got just the thing for you.
Well, how old are we imagining Ahta to be then in this case? Is she very old? Is she very young? Is she somewhere in between?
I'm gonna go somewhere in between. Briefly thought of like super old, like 500-year-old dryad or something. But like, no, what if she's just like, I don't know, like, 27, 32, somewhere around there, off just kind of doing her own thing, not living with her orc family, just kind of like embracing this weird dryad thing she discovered about herself.
Well, we talked about her being a druid. Is this perhaps like a boon of her druid powers or something? Like she went on some sort of quest, or she accepted a mission from some sort of nature deity that was like, okay, great, I'm going to give you these powers, but the deal is you have to be rooted to this area and protect it, and I want it preserved for nature. You can't let civilization happen here or something.
I like that. So I like that I've been wanting her to be slightly ditzy, but just kind of like happy-go-lucky. Okay. I love the idea that she did a good thing and a nature spirit rewarded her, and like, go do great things, and she has no clue that happened. She's just, whoa, I got powers now, thanks to this magic fox I saved.
Yeah.
All right, well, and she just wandered off. Will she be asked to do something later? Who knows?
Okay.
But right now she's just sort of like, I guess I have powers now.
So if you had to paint a picture, if you had to describe the physical appearance of Ahta, what would you say it is? Since we're getting this concept of like orc and dryad, or an orc that was given power and boons by some sort of nature spirit or deity, how does Ahta actually appear? We know the dreadlocks and the moss on the end of the dreadlocks, but like beyond that, like what are we seeing?
Moss to dreadlocks. What's the word? A desaturated green. Not like a bright color, but like a desaturated, almost kind of gray green for the skin. I've always liked the tusks. I always like tusks. So some tusks going on, probably like a nose piercing. And then
through the middle, through the side.
Probably through just one of the nostrils, right? Okay. Yeah. And then kind of just roby type things, all made of cloth, kind of just like layers of cloth robes. Maybe kind of like that monk style where like one arm is kind of like bare, or one part of the torso is kind of bare, drapes off of one shoulder.
Okay, so not quite a toga, but
not
toga-ish.
Toga-ish. Okay, as far as the clothing's concerned, with robes. Yeah. Okay.
Toga-ish, and it's just like plants growing from like the toga, which I imagine to be like a mix of various cloths, but usually like desaturated browns, maybe some light beiges. Okay. And any color put into it is like some kind of living plant, like actual flowers growing along the edges of it or something like that.
Okay. And then I guess if we're factoring in the dryad part of the boon of the powers, like, so I can picture like, primarily orcish in appearance, but maybe as it gets closer to her hands and her feet, maybe is that where like you start seeing the bleed over into the more characteristic dryad, where it looks like tree roots or something like that. It looks like a living plant extension of some kind, maybe.
I think you would see it in the hair. Like some of she has dreads, but if you look closely, some of those aren't dreads. They're just like they're like tree roots, or more like rooty structures. Okay. Maybe some like wooden branch horns coming out of the hair as well. Okay. Where you're like, I'm not sure if that's a headdress or like actually coming out of your scalp type of deal.
If you had to describe Ahta with 3 adjectives, what 3 adjectives would you use? I think you said one earlier was ditzy. Do you think that's still the case?
I would replace ditzy with happy-go-lucky, which I think better puts it down. Not really concerned with things, like kind of just going with the flow-ish. Mm-hmm. Happy-go-lucky, I think that covers cheerful too, because it's just kind of like a positive vibe. Happy-go-lucky, I would say caring. Move away caring, say empathetic. She's moved by like sob stories and like the plight of others. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say inquisitive. Okay. Which is part of the brewery things of like she's genuinely interested. That's one of the reasons she semi-lures adventurers to her stand to, one, try out the weird drinks she makes to see if they're any good, but also just to hear their stories and like hear things about going on.
What is a valuable item, a piece of lore, a secret, or an ideal or concept that Ahta ascribes to?
Mm,
Do you want to roll some dice maybe to kind of narrow that down if it's like too many options?
I like the idea that there's someone from like her old clan or her old family
Mhm.
who absolutely hate that she's pulling this semi-hippie, and they have like declared that if we ever meet, we will fight to the death. If I see you, I will fight you to the death.
Whoa.
And her being very happy and go lucky and empathetic is like, we really don't have to do that. But she left before like really resolving that issue.
Mhm.
So it's not something she thinks about often, but in the back of her mind, she's always wondering if that person is gonna walk in through the wood line and she's gonna have to like murder one of her family members
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's
in
intense.
pitched
Yeah, that's a
combat.
pretty good secret. Like,
Is my long lost clansman or relative going to show up and then I'm going to have to fight them one on one or something? Yeah, that's pretty intense.
Exactly. I like the idea she's not weak or opposed to violence per se. It's
Mhm.
just she really doesn't want to do that. That sounds like a horrible time.
Yeah.
They were like a loving member of their family, and now it's like I'm gonna kill you next time I see you. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. Yeah, it's like, look at this wonderful gift I was given. Like, no, I don't like it.
We're going to fight the next time I see you.
I
All
think that'll
right.
make for a very dramatic interaction for a character who's largely kind of a not jokey, but a very comic relief type character.
Oh, sure, for sure. What is a particular quest that Ahta would be willing to recruit or hire player characters to go and do on her behalf?
Knowing Ahta, it's probably that she heard a story about something she wanted to know more about or like see. Like there's this like a giant glowing mushroom like in this far off cave in the southern swamps. Do you think you can go and get me a chunk of it and bring it back? Or like a specific animal that she's sensing is in pain or is like, hey, a lot of animal torment emotion is coming from like the south through this a valley, like in the southern valley. I just feel like a lot of pain coming there. Could you go handle this situation?
Okay.
It would be something like empathy towards like people or animals or like nature, or it'd be some like weird inane task that you're tasked to like go fetch something for.
Okay. So for our purposes, what do you think would work? Retrieving the mushroom, the giant mushroom, or the giant mushroom piece from the cave, or hey, there's a bunch of weird stuff going on with the animals in the valley to the south.
Probably the mushroom cave. I think
Okay, the
the
mushroom
more
cave.
intense quest would come after that one. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you're saying that the animals in the valley could be like a secondary quest?
Yeah, yeah. To keep her
Okay.
as like a consistent NPC who you like get to know over time.
Okay.
Yeah, you get the softball first, and then you start getting emotional.
All right. So what is going to be the reward for succeeding in going to this cave that's past the swamps and retrieving, I don't know how big this giant mushroom is, but if they can bring the whole giant mushroom back or if she only wants a piece of it, what is she going to reward the players with when they're successful?
It would only need to be a chunk, and then we get to see like a cool scene of her like, all right, this is cool, and going over to a shady alcove or something, putting it down and just watching it just spread all over the walls and like just immediately grow up.
Okay.
Like just like this cool nature scene. And then she tries to brew something out of it and give it to you, and it probably like I imagine it would like make you glow or something, and is like, huh, I was supposed to let you fly temporarily. All right, well, back to the drawing board. So the reward would probably be a recipe using this glowing mushroom for like either like maybe improved night vision, though I know everything in D&D has some form of night
Oh,
vision.
right. Dark vision. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Maybe some
I
paint
kind
or
of-
maybe
I kind of like what you said. Like you were like, "Oh, this was meant to make you fly, but it made you glow." How fun would it be if it was like a random table? Like, okay, I'm gonna brew something, and then you drink it, and the dungeon master rolls on some kind of random table, and it's like, all right, well, now you can't stop tapping your feet, or
Oh, you glow.
you have bioluminescence for the next week or something like that. Like some goofy, harmless sort of effect befalls the character for a short amount of time. And then she's like, all right, come back later. I'll figure it out. And then at that point, it's like, okay, now officially this is like the cool thing that you can get whenever you brew this tea with this mushroom or something.
That's what I was. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Something goofy as a reward, but then like her services just offers you like I could brew you a potion or a special drink that mimics those to some degree.
Okay.
So having a very friendly apothecary who will make you stuff relatively for free is a real nice bonus.
Okay. All right, but now we have to consider the other side of the coin. What's going to be the consequence of failure or refusing to help Ahta with getting the piece of this mushroom? Obviously, the secondary quest and any other quest that she would generate are not going to happen. Maybe.
I would probably say, let's see, I don't know. Ahta's too chill to really be too mad at you.
Okay,
for
so
this
she won't
mushroom.
lock you out of the additional quest lines?
Probably not. You would probably have to go do a different quest. Like, okay, there's this cool fruit I heard about, but it only grows on top of mountains that you're gonna have to scale. If you can get it to me, I'll make you a new thing that's totally gonna be great. So she wouldn't hold like too hard feelings if they're like, no, we're good. It's like, all right, see you later. If you have cool stories, come by next time.
If they are intentionally rude or mean, or they're like, oh, that giant mushroom you wanted us to get, we destroyed it.
Or something like that. If they were like deliberately like, we represent law and civilization and we will not stand for nature, like how is she going to react to that?
I was thinking about that. Like, what if a couple of murder hobos wandered through this NPC?
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I said she was not opposed to violence earlier, very specifically, because I like the idea of like her giving her a chance. Like, all right, guys, like we can be cool, we can talk this out. And when they don't, their feet are like stuck to the ground because roots are slowly climbing up their legs, and like her eyes are glowing.
She
just
goes
reaches into a tree.
Galadriel.
She goes Galadriel when Frodo like offers her the ring, and she's like, full nature powers, like I'm gonna fight you guys now.
Basically, he just reaches into a tree, pulls out a battle axe from the tree.
Oh.
Angry animals start coming out from the woods. Again, your legs are still wrapped in like vines. It's like, right. We're in the middle of a nature glade fighting a nature thing. That's
okay.
Probably not a good idea.
Okay, wow. So she's gonna cast like entanglement, and she's gonna grab an axe. That's probably like some kind of magic cool axe, or I don't know, maybe it was an axe from her previous life and maybe a sentimental value, who knows. And then she's summoning like swarms of animals or other animal creatures to come and protect her. Okay, so you have like a right proper encounter. If you come in guns blazing, she's gonna bring out the bigger guns.
Yeah. This is no pushover NPC.
Does Ahta have a particular accent or language that she uses? Are there any idiosyncrasies in the way that she acts or speaks?
I like the idea of her having a Valley accent. I really like that accent. I love it even more whenever I can put it into a fantasy world for a character who is very uncharacteristically Valley Girl.
Okay.
That's always fun, and that's just a fun for me thing.
Oh, was there anything more to that? Any idiosyncrasies in the way that she acts or speaks, maybe?
Probably not. Just kind of like chilling inside of a glade.
Like you were saying, hippie. So kind of like hippie vibes, where she's mellow, she's chilling, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Kind of like that. I imagine hippie, but also a hippie who's just like super swole. Just swole hippie.
Swole hippie. Okay.
Swole hippies.
Oh my god. What's up? Welcome to my cafe.
What impact has Ahta made on the world? How has she shaped the local area?
That's really interesting because I think it would be for the better. Like, this is a very interesting glade. Again, she's not really malicious or anything, and sometimes guides people towards there. I imagine that this was a normal wood or a normal ruins before, and then since she's moved in, it's now like a fruiting forest, and you can like find plenty of food there. So there's like maybe some towns in like a few mile radius of it, and they noticed this change, and people have brought back stories of Ahta being there, and they're all into it.
It's like the farmer's market. It's the weekend. We're going to go out. We're going to go see Ahta at her cafe. We're going to drink some coffee. We're going to get some fresh organic food, and then we're going to go home.
Yeah, kind of. Like, they are all welcome to go in there, and there's some who are like, Ahta's really great. and go in to say hi. Others are like terrified of the wood witch who moved in. Don't eat any of the cursed fruit. And others come by like, oh great druid, grant us rain. And it's like, guys, I just make coffee and grow plants. I can't help you with that. So it's a fun mix of reactions to her, but generally positive.
All right, very good. Well, we've learned a lot about our Ahta from an art prompt generator, so I
think it's time now that we
calculate a random encounter.
Oh, snap.
Okay, so this random encounter is brought to you by Reaper Miniatures. Yes, you know them. Reaper Miniatures, Texas Titans of the tabletop industry since 1994. They're right here in our backyard of DFW. And they've got an amazing warehouse and game store. They make everything from paints to gaming accessories. And they stream on Twitch and YouTube with tutorials and interviews. Whatever system you're running, whatever game you're playing, Reaper has got you covered. Every time you shop with them and spend at least $40, $50 on your purchase, they're going to give you a cool new mini of the month. And it's always something new, so be sure to check back often. If you visit my website, you can find a link to my sponsor and use my referral link when you shop to help support Sidekicks and SideQuests and get you some savings. By clicking that link on my website, it helps to track the traffic that our show directs towards Reaper Miniatures. The more traffic, the more that our Texas powers are able to combine. As I mentioned before, I got two $50 gift cards, and so the missus and I were able to use them at Christmas time, and so we are excited to be able to paint and put together all of our new minis and integrate them into our tabletop games. So again, go check out the link on the website in order to use my referral link, and be sure to follow Reaper Miniatures on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. All right, you remember the last time we did this, I think I ended up making just like a generic town mayor that talked to Roosevelt. And we could do something similar to that if it's like, just like a farmer, coming in for the weekend to chat with Ahta. Or do you want to have one of the podcast adventurer characters show up and talk to Ahta to see if perhaps they will take the quest of retrieving this mushroom bit?
Oh, that's interesting, because I'm not familiar with all the characters that have been made.
Oh, sure. So we've got Duncan, who is the happy-go-lucky, chaotic good, suicidally brave adventurer for hire. He's currently in the Forgotten Realms right now with Talon Urin. But, through magics, maybe he can get back to our podcast world. We've got Sonia, the warrior woman who's now recently multi-classed into paladin, so that's fun. And then we have Korak, who is the lawful evil arcane trickster dwarf.
So
we have those three, or if you want, we could invent a brand new adventurer character that I could introduce into the rotation of other characters to be in the random encounter section.
Sure, why not? Keep it on brand. We can go with a brand new random character.
Ooh, so you get to hear it now live, folks. Here in 2022, second episode of the new year, we're already creating a brand new podcast NPC character. Okay, well, what are you thinking that this character should be? So I had a human man, I had a human woman, and then I had a male dwarf. So probably this needs to be a female character, but I don't know. Maybe an elf? I haven't done an elf yet. Does this need to be an elven character, perhaps? Like a wood elf? A fellow druid, maybe, perhaps?
Let's go with elf.
Okay.
Because one of the things I did do was, for my game, I just used Excel and I built this random character generator.
Oh, okay.
For myself. Just for its goofy thing. So I'm just going to slap this around a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't do this on purpose. I'm saying the race to... It was going to be a female elf, but I got a shy herbalist who's a botanist, also a botanist.
Okay.
Whose background is in herbalism and whose job is being a botanist.
Okay. So do you think like a female wood elf druid then? And like their specialty is like going around the world and studying plants and so she can be like a force of good for nature, but she also just enjoys spending her time with her long life just walking around the world and seeing plants and stuff.
Yeah, I would say that. I think that built into the shy aspect just goes around documenting plants, doesn't hang around like places too much.
Now we need to come up with a name for this elven maiden.
I don't know. Are any of these sounding good? Torthana, Chrisley, Laura Bella.
I like Chrisley and Laura Bella.
Laura Bella, is
I
that
like-
what you want to go with?
I kind of want to go with Chrisley. That one's
Chrisley?
more fun to say. Yeah, Chrisley.
Okay, I think the way that name was spelled was Krislee. Chrisley.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we have decided to generate a brand new podcast NPC, Chrisley, the wood elf druid, who is a herbalist and a botanist, and she's shy apparently, and so probably not uberly confrontational, but she's nice and sweet, and she'll help out where nature's needed and anything like that. So
I will go ahead.
She's nice when you get to know her.
Excellent. So we will now go ahead and set the scene.
So Chrisley has left her wood elven community. She's reached adulthood finally. So, she spent the first 100 years growing up learning the ways of the woad and what it takes to be a druid. And so she was commissioned by her elders to go forth into the world and care for nature and to be its champion. And so reluctantly, maybe, nevertheless, she went forward. And, it's been a couple of days, on the road. And as she's starting to really get out of the deep woad, the stuff that really is truly overgrown nature, and she's beginning to see the vestiges, the very hints, the beginnings of civilization, she sees this ruin. But she also sees that there's all this nature that's grown up and integrated with this little cafe. And so she begins to walk out towards the ruins and the cafe, and she's looking around. She's a little timid. She's a little shy. She's trying to get her bearings, and probably because she is fresh out of her community, she's probably going to be speaking Elvish, and she'll be in Elvish saying out loud, kind of like, "Hello, is anyone there? What is this going on over here?"
Ahta's probably been watching them for a while as they wandered into their woods and has kind of just been like wondering if they'll see them like loosely hiding behind a tree.
Hmm.
And as they wander closer, seeing that this person, not very aware of their surroundings, would probably like slowly approach behind them, just sort of lean forward as much as they could without like spooking them.
Mm-hmm.
She'd probably just say hi, just like, "Hi," right behind her.
She turns around, she's startled, and at first, she's seen the orc, she's seen the dryad, so she's just kind of like a deer in the headlights, confused. She doesn't know how to react quite, and she's just like, and then, very probably like starting in common, she transition out of Elven, and she'll be like, "Hi, hello, my name is Chrisley. Who are you?"
Hey, man, a lot of folks don't come out that way. Like crazy. I'm
Yes.
Ahta. This is my little brewery. What can I get you? Hey,
Oh.
motioning over to some various colored jars filled with things.
Okay. She goes over to inspect them a little closely. Does Ahta have any menus just sort of absent-mindedly laying around or something like that?
Not absent-mindedly. There's a whole stack. Seeing that she's actually interested and not like weirded out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, "Hold on, I'll be right back," and runs off. And just from like a bush, retrieves like a stack of, I guess just shaved down really thin bark.
Mm-hmm.
And returns, and it's just like several drinks with weird names
Okay.
listed across it. None look familiar. All
Okay.
have been made up by her.
Okay.
All right, so she's looking at this list, she's looking at the jars, and she's like, well, I guess she looks, one of them kind of maybe looks like a kombucha, one of them looks like this weird, maybe like really cloudy looking tea or something like that. And So she'll point to the cloudy tea one. She'll be like, I'll take a cup of that. And she's looking around and she's kind of admiring the flowers, especially on the toga robe-esque sort of piece. And she's like, oh, wow, yes. So, yeah, I'm from the Woad. And, I've been charged to, just go out and be nature's defender and document all that I see and care for nature. And she sees, I guess, the one wall, I guess, of the ruin that's kind of bare, and she's like, that's so sad that looks like it would be better used with plants or something growing on it, right?
Hearing like her wanting to drink, Ahta's sort of like picked up the jar and as well as like several others and bringing it to this like small stone table, which is full of sort of like I guess barista tools, like little jars and little flames, the weird little spinny nozzle things, half alchemist bench, half barista table.
Okay.
Oh my god, yes. But I have something special in mind. Okay, so like hear me out here. So you're from the Woad?
Yeah.
Wood.
Yes,
You
yes.
get it. You're down with the plants. Anyway, so like I really want to this adventurer came by. Really cool. Really tall. Like had a bunch of scars, wore a robe. It was weird. I think he did like magic or something. It might have been death magic. I don't know. Anyways, so he told me about this place further down south in some kind of crazy swamp. There's this giant glowing fungus, right? Like mushrooms, but they like glow in the dark. And I'm like, oh my god, that'd be fantastic. Excuse me? She like walks past her to reach into a cupboard and just grabs just a squirrel, just an actual squirrel, and just walks back over to the table. You can't see what's going on, but you do hear splashing and then a wet squirrel sort of hopping away from the table. Anyways, I was thinking that would be so amazing to have on this wall. Well, for two reasons actually. To have on this wall and to like accent this area, because at night it's still really nice with the fireflies and everything, but it could use this one to really pop. But also, that wizard guy, he was telling me a bunch of stuff like, oh, it's like I don't know, like magic mushroom or like glowy enchanted. I don't know. I was like half paying attention because he was like crazy tall. Like you don't even understand. Anyways, he did tell me that it could be used in potions. And I've been working on something between you and me. Ahta gets like closer, just like kind of waving him over. Like between you and me, I think I figured out a potion that could make people just like fly, like just straight fly, just like jump off the ground and like right through the air. And I think that mushroom might work.
Okay. And so you need me to go get this mushroom then? A piece of it? The whole thing?
Oh my god! You didn't have to offer, but yes, if you would want to, that would be amazing. If you got it for me, I would definitely share the potion with you. It would be so thankful. Be BFF thankful.
Oh, okay. You can see she's kind of like trepidatious, but also at the same time she's like she's going with it. She's trusting her gut on this, and she's like, okay, sure, yes, I'm sure there's other animals and plants that I can document along the way and care for, and okay, yes. Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't introduce myself. Yes, Chrisley of the Woad.
Oh my god, Chrissy! And she just walks over. I'm not sure how tall like orcs are in terms of elves.
They're taller,
but she just
I would
like
say.
okay, she reaches down, she just bear hugs her, just like real tight. Oh my god, Chrissy, thank you. Oh, this is amazing. Anything you need before you set off, you got it. All right. Oh, and here you go. And she hands you like it's like in a really nice little jar. It has like a little a cute little like twig with like a couple of leaves on it. It is like a cloudy white liquid with little brown specks floating in it. But it's very well presented.
All right, she'll take a sip. She takes a second to think about it, and then she's like, not bad.
See, this time I kept my squirrel really nice and fresh. That was the key.
All right, and so she'll get more details from Ahta about where exactly she's to go and how to go about doing it. And they'll have some gal pal time, and they'll dish, and they'll have a great time. And then Chrisley will set off on her first little quest, and we'll see how she does.
Yeah, excited. Hopefully, Chrisley comes back with a bunch of mushrooms and crazy adventures.
And scene. All right. So there we go. We made it through another episode. So as we're starting to get into final thoughts, what did you think of our little role play there of Ahta and Chrisley?
It was good. I liked it. Anytime I can play a weird buff valley girl is a good time. But no, it was good. I like playing the more happy-go-lucky, upbeat characters since I usually play more serious ones. So
yeah, since Roosevelt was so melancholy and herald of doom.
Exactly.
So this is like a complete 180. So yeah, this is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, the magic of a random roll. Ahta wasn't even here like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, that's true. You know the deal. We're getting into the last section, and so if there's any socials, if there's any projects, I know you were telling us about your game earlier in a website, so I'm interested to hear more about that. So yeah, go ahead and dish and let us know where we can keep in touch.
Sure. Well, I have my own Wix website. It's my personal website that I use for my stuff, which I'm currently in the process of editing. So I've finally, after quite a few years, I'm finally updating my website to be a bit cleaner, a bit more like straight to the point than it was when I was in college. So josepheanthony.wix.com/Pangolin Scholar. I'm Pangolin Scholar on a lot of different social media and media things. So you can find that my website there, and I have like an about page and some game design and my writing as well. And check back because we'll be going through a lot of changes over January as I update it and add more of the things I've been doing.
Okay, very good. Yeah, we'll make sure that gets into the show notes. So yeah, we'll make sure that gets done. And yeah, anything else you want to leave us with before we sign off today?
I don't know, check out Nomad Complex. They make really nice clothes.
Okay.
Very good. All right. Well, Joseph, thank you so much for
taking time to hop back on the show, and we'll get back to you again. The plan is to be regularly interviewing new people and then getting back in touch with guests previously on the show, so that way you'll have your own little catalog of NPCs made on this show. So
awesome. I look forward to it, and thank you again for having me back.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Sidekicks and Side Quests. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast through Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and Overcast. Or feel free to save the RSS feed to use the app of your choice. Visit our website, sidekicksandsidequests.com, for links, write-ups of the NPCs, and to learn more about the show and the guests who have been on it. To stay up to date and interact via social media, you can follow the podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit by searching for Side KQ Podcast. I would love to talk D&D and showcase your fan art, stories of how you used our NPCs, discussions, and commentary. If you would like to hail the bard, send an email to sidekicksandsidequests@gmail.com. To help this show be the resource it's meant to be, I ask that you please leave a review on iTunes to help spread the word, and share our show with your friends and family. Whether you're a veteran player or an aspiring dungeon master, there's something here for everyone, and I want to hear about it. Sidekicks and Side Quests is unofficial fan content permitted under the fan content policy, meaning I'm not approved or endorsed by Wizards. Portions of the materials used are property of Wizards of the Coast, copyright Wizards of the Coast, LLC. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you at the pub next time.
Bar to rock on 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.